So now the 2021 MLS season is over. This means that I get to go back doing the Moving Forward series, which, I mentioned before the reason why I haven't done a lot of Moving Forward series episode. In fact, I only actually did 2 Moving Forward series episode prior to this one is because, there's been just so many games that was happening. I was doing previews, reviews, and there was just not enough time to basically sneak in a moving forward series and talk about a team that's already been eliminated and talk about how the off season and their future is going to be. But alas, from now on, I'm of course going to try to do at least one moving forward series per day because I want to get this moving forward series done, and then we'll start the preview looking at all 28 teams and how the 2022 MLS season is going to be for each of these teams. So we pick up where we left off with talking about the Houston Dynamo, who, last time I think I did Austin FC and how I talked about they've finished dead last in, well, they were currently at that point of me doing that video, they were dead last in the Western Conference. Well, that was not the case anymore once the season is over, because the team that actually did finish dead last in the Western Conference was the Houston Dynamo with a record of 6-12-16 and had only 30 points this season. They scored 36 goals this season, which is by far the fewest in the Western Conference, and gave up 54 goals this season, which is among one of the most in the Western Conference, and have a goal differential of -18. As I mentioned, they finished last in the Western Conference. Now, despite the fact that they did score the fewest goal out of any team in the Western Conference, they did have a guy that broke the double-digit mark, and that player is Fafa Pico, who scored 11 goals this season, and he really was kind of the only goal scorer for the Dynamo, especially down the stretch. And then you got Maxio Ruti with 7 goals this season. I thought Ruti definitely started to kind of show a little bit of sign of his tenure with FC Dallas and the Portland Timbers. Remember when Ruti was regarded as a really good MLS player and has a lot of potential? Yeah, it did not really quite work out, and he kind of become a little bit of a journeyman. But alas, this was probably one of his most lethal goal scoring season with the Dynamo with 7 goals. Then you got Tyler Pasher, who early on, he was definitely one of the player that kind of just came out of nowhere to start scoring goals, and the Dynamo thought that they maybe discover a great player from the diamond in the rough, but unfortunately he got injured throughout the season, and he hasn't got a lot of minutes and end up with just 4 goals. Then you got Mateus Vera and Darwin Quintero finish up with 3 goals in terms of the top goal scored for the Houston Dynamo. Top assist leader for the Dynamo, unsurprisingly, when you look at the top assist leader, which is Fafa Pico, he's only had 4 assists, which tells you that this is the team that, when you're a team that don't score a lot of goals, you're also not only going to have goal score that is going to be relatively low, though in this case it's kind of surprising that the fact that literally half of the goals that is scored in this team is by 2 guys. But when you look on the top assist leader chart, you can definitely see that assist number also means it's not going to be very high. And in this case, Fafa Pico finished as the top assist leader with only 4 assists to his name, followed by Griffin Dorsey with 3 assists, Darwin Quintero with 2, Tyler Pasher with 2, and Memo Rodriguez joined a numerous list of Dynamo player to only register 1 assist this season. So what went right for the Houston Dynamo? And normally when I do a moving forward series talk about a team that finished near the bottom of their respective conference, I tends to be a little bit nitpicking in terms of talk about what went right, because let's be honest, not much went right for this team. But at least one thing that kind of went right for them is that they finally got rid of their GM Matt Jordan, which they kind of demand that to happen. Like, there was just at one point of the season where the Dynamo fan base, they not only were demanding their GM to be out, but there was banners that was shown in the stadium, and you can even see it too. Like that really brings me back memory of the Michael Starhay era with the San Jose Earthquakes. Remember how there was the Starhay out kind of banner, and how the security basically took it away because that was supposed to be disrespectful toward the club. But I will say that the Dynamo front office, or the Dynamo security, at least they were being a little bit more nicer, because there's time where they did put the Matt Jordan out banner and security didn't even take it away, and that was kind of almost like the last straw that you knew that the GM is probably going to have to basically resign and fire, and eventually he was. And also, when you're one of the highlights of your season is seeing your GM leave your team, you know you probably had a rough season. The other thing that went right is Fafa Pico. Another breakout year for him. He's really the only positive from this Dynamo team that he's shown his quality, and also has to feel bad for him the fact that he is a guy that I think he could definitely be a starter for other teams, and I won't be surprised if other good teams and teams that might compete for the playoffs next season, they might even give the Houston Dynamo a call and see how much they can potentially get Fafa Pico for, because I'm pretty sure Fafa Pico, I don't know if he enjoys being in a team that is near the bottom, and especially he's trying his best to help his team, but no matter how much he's trying to kind of carry this team, it doesn't really resort to much. So, I'm not saying that maybe he might think about requesting a trade to another team, but, I don't blame him if he is planning to maybe do that in the off season. And again, I won't be surprised if there's other teams, and especially some teams that desperately need number nines and need a number nine that can score goals. I won't be surprised they won't give the Houston Dynamo a call to try to see if they can get Fafa Pico for an undisclosed general allocation money. And if they decide to do that, I have a feeling that general allocation money could hit seven figures with how good of a season that Fafa Pico has had. And then of course, the last thing that kind of went right, again, I'm kind of nitpicking with this one, is that they kind of got off to a promising start, but that really doesn't mean anything, because we saw this happen before in the previous year where the Dynamo got off to a promising start. And I think the previous year they kind of got to a promising start is mainly, well, actually not the previous year, but I'll go back to the 2019 season, because the previous year was that shortened pandemic kind of era, and Dynamo was kind of in a weird, along with every team, was kind of having a weird season and weird stop and go season. They kind of really never got anything going, but in that 2019 season, they got off to a promising start. One of the bigger surprise of a team that was near the top half of the table, but then you just realize that they basically play against some of the most easy team in the league, and they basically got found out when they had to face against real opponent. So that being said, what went wrong for them this season? Like I said, after the promising start, they went on a complete free fall, and I'm not sure if this is right after when they were in this promising start. I think it is, because they basically during that stretch between July all the way to September, or actually I think it was June all the way to September, they didn't win a game. They went on a 16-game winless run, and it was just getting to a point where I said, well, is the Dynamo going to potentially break the record in terms of being the team with the longest winless run in a regular season? And thankfully they finally did end that. But nevertheless, I mean, when you go through that long of a winless run, and pretty much almost half, if you spend half of your season not winning a game, as that 16-game winless run was, you're probably not only not going to make the playoffs, but also probably going to finish near the bottom of the table. The team, of course, other thing that went wrong is that they cannot score or defend. I mean, it's been proven in terms of the stats wise, where the goals, besides Fafa Pico and earlier this season with Max Cerruti generating the goal scoring department, nobody else of this team can score, and hence that's why they finished with the lowest goal tally in the Western Conference. And also their defense is not that good either. There's times that they of course got throttled on the road. And then lastly, I know this might sound pretty cheap for me to kind of pick out as one of the Dynamo woes, because the Dynamo has a lot of problem this season. I mean, from you can clearly see there was some disconnection between the fans and the ownership, and also the front office. And then of course you also see players clearly wasn't playing for Tat Ramos, and maybe that was also kind of one of the reasons why Tat Ramos potentially end up losing his job. But the other thing that I'm kind of just going to cheaply say about them is that the role form, once again, a problem. I mean, I think this season, I'm not sure did they even win a single road game. I mean, this has been an issue for the Dynamo for the past couple of years, and it's kind of, they're kind of joining like the other teams, like the Quakes and all the other team that still have problem in terms of the role form, as a team that just, for whatever reason, when they don't play at home, it's an automatic loss for them. And I think Dynamo fan knows that every time when they go on the road, it will be a miracle. The fact that they, of course, can able to get a win. Or actually, you know what? Maybe, or no, actually, I was thinking, there was one game I was thinking that they, of course, got a win, but then I just realized that was a game that happened in a previous season. So I think this year they actually did go the entire season without a win. I might be wrong though. Dynamo fans, you can correct me in the comments section about how they actually did win a road game, but I'm pretty sure they probably, if they did win a road game, it's probably just gonna be one or two. I don't think this team really won a lot of road game with the road form that they had. Now, moving forward for this Dynamo team, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's time for the rebuild. I mean, for the past couple of years, it is pretty clear that they were delaying the inevitable. And, with these placeholder signings that they have, I thought these placeholder signings were okay this season. I mean, I would say that it's kind of a mixed bag because, I think when they signed the likes of Fafa Pico from FC Dallas and also getting Tim Parkers from the New York Red Bulls. I thought they did very well this season, but there's also some other players on this team that didn't really had the same impact. So it was kind of a mixed bag in terms of some of the placeholder that they bought. And I just feel like, I understand why they decided to bring some of these placeholder. I mean, one, they want to delay the inevitable of creating a rebuild, but also maybe these placeholder will be a way to kind of give time for a lot of these young guys that is part of this rebuild, and hope to maybe be develop these guys in a way where they can be a competitive team again. But I just don't see it in that sense. I thought they were just using placeholder as a way, and basically getting these afterthoughts kind of player as a way to delay the inevitable. And I just think this season, especially with a new GM coming in, I know they're thinking about maybe either nuking the team or just try to start from scratch and begin this rebuild. Which, speaking of the new GM, Pat Onstad, of course, the new GM for the Houston Dynamo. Now, it's pretty clear that I have a feeling he's going to do very well with this team. I mean, he did very well with Columbus, building an MLS Cup winning kind of team. But there's no doubt that I think this job will be much difficult than the one that he has with the Columbus Crew, because the problem that he's going to have to face is that he's going to have to build a good squad on a shoestring budget. Because, well, here the question I put, will he get the money to build a good squad? The answer is probably no. I mean, knowing this is a team that's not known to spend a lot of money and kind of are still stuck on that MLS 1.0 kind of mindset. Like, unless if they do eventually maybe change ownership, or maybe ownership finally start to kind of realize that they can't just have this MLS 1.0 mindset where they find some diamond in the rough and just be penny pinching and be cheap in terms of getting the players that they can to get them to be a competitive team. That the money is not going to be something that Pat Onstad is going to have a lot to work for. So I think maybe the actual question, or the question I will rephrase, is that will Pat Onstad with a limited budget still able to build a good squad? I mean, we've seen it before where you don't. I know there's always that myth that you need to have money to build a decent squad, and in some way that myth could be true because we've seen some teams that have spent big money to invest in terms of building an MLS Cup contender. But we've also seen the Colorado Rapids method, where it's a method where they don't spend a lot of money, but they make some smart signing, and that will be a way to build a decent squad on a shoestring budget. And I have a feeling Pat Onstad is probably going to do the same thing, and maybe trying to replicate the Colorado Rapids formula, where when we're trying to build a decent team from a team that don't spend a lot, you just need to find those MLS proven kind of player to put them into this team and hope that it of course will gel. And then lastly, the last thing moving forward for this Dynamo team is they still need a new head coach, and it's going to be interesting to see who exactly is going to be that head coach. I mean, there's been a lot of rumors about these teams that still have vacant spot in the head coaching position, but the Dynamo is one of those teams that's been very quiet in terms of that news department. Now, I have no doubt that they eventually will get one soon, but knowing the fact that this offseason is the shortest offseason in the league, and a lot of these teams are scrambling to try to find themselves a head coach, where you don't want to find a head coach literally in the dying moments of the off season, and we're already into the preseason. I mean that would be a really tough spot for a new head coach coming in. When your team is already in preseason mode, or in some cases you only get like 2 or 3 weeks, or even 1 week to work with your team before the regular season starts. That is definitely a recipe for disaster if teams are going to do that. So I'm assuming the Dynamo eventually will hire a new head coach, and we'll see who exactly they are going to basically hire, with Tat Ramos, of course, being fired from last season. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this video, and if you're a Dynamo fan, what do you think went right, went wrong, and most importantly, moving forward, how is this team going to look heading into the 2022 MLS season? But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.